In today's video, I'll be doing a 2022 Senate election prediction. Obviously, yes, this is coming up a bit like late in terms of the date. With all the other election stuff like going on, I didn't record this video. With like the Virginia gubernatorial election and all that. So I never did record the video, or I haven't like fully recorded it. I started something earlier, but then I restarted. Like this is the restart, obviously. Like the last thing I do tonight, or one of the last things I do. So I'm probably gonna like close out this entire like window, but for now I don't wanna close it because I have like my thumbnail stuff and like the like a lot of the stuff that I used to upload it. I mean, like I could do it, but it would take longer, and like it's probably just better for me to just do it like this and then close everything, because it would also take like a long time to close, and it would just generally take like a really long time. So this is honestly, even as slow as it is, it's probably more efficient. Anyway, so labeling the Democrats single likely state, Colorado. Bennett is going to struggle with Hispanic and Latino voters. The GOP will do very well in the suburbs. For the GOP's likely states, Florida, New Hampshire, Ohio, and Alaska. Alaska's a bit weird with ranked choice. At the end of the day, a Republican will win Alaska. Florida, Rubio is a really strong candidate for the state. I've discussed this before. I've also discussed Val Demings before, but basically to sum it up, sort of, she's a really strong general election candidate. She's not an amazing candidate in Florida. I think that Rubio is like Florida is one of the states that he's strongest for. Florida is not one of the states that Val Demings is strongest for. In New Hampshire, I think that Sununu is so ridiculously popular. Biden is so ridiculously unpopular. Double digits, like realistic, like it might be double digits realistically. Realistically, it honestly could be safe. Ohio, Tim Ryan, I think, is actually not as horrible of a candidate as I previously thought. But I think he's still probably going to lose. I think that regardless of who the GOP nominee is, I haven't been looking at the polls, but I would imagine it's probably like Josh Mandel. I haven't looked at the polls yet. I just dropped a calculator. Brilliant. Let me go take a look at it like this. Either way, I think that Ryan like still loses, especially as Biden's unpopularity in the states shifts. For the Democrats' lean states, I don't know if they have any. For the Republicans' lean states, they get Arizona, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina. Arizona, Brnovich, if he ends up being the nominee, will do very well in the suburbs, I think. And generally, these traditionally conservative suburbs will probably shift heavily to the right, given how like unpopular Joe Biden has been. I think that his unpopularity will shift a lot of these like never Trump or anti-Trump traditionally conservative suburbanites who were like, okay, I don't like Trump, I will vote for Biden because he is not Donald Trump, even though I don't like necessarily agree with all of his policies. I think that a lot of these people will be like heavily disapproving of Biden. Honestly, a lot of them would probably rather vote for Trump than Biden. And a Republican like Brnovich, I think, is already pretty strong. In those suburbs, in Wisconsin, Johnson's going to do very well with white rural turnout, mainly because of Biden's unpopularity, but he's also a decent white rural candidate for white rural voters. I think he's going to do well in the suburbs, mainly because of Biden's unpopularity. He'll probably do very well with the white working class because of Biden's unpopularity. Mandela Barnes will probably do pretty well with the black vote, but Ron Johnson will overpower him by turning out like loads of voters and doing very well with throughout a lot of the state, honestly. Pennsylvania, with Connor Lamb and John Fetterman are weak candidates, I think, and obviously Biden is insanely unpopular. I think that hurts both of them. Connor Lamb, I think that if Biden's unpopular, especially with his base, or if his base is angry that like nothing's happening, and sort of a like teaser towards what will probably be tomorrow's video. If his base is angry that like he is not getting any of the legislation that they elected him to get passed, if he's not passing any of it, a lot of his base won't turn out regardless of how strong the candidate is. And Connor Lamb is not an amazing candidate. John Fetterman, his strongest demographic is probably the white working class, and it'll probably shift away from him because of how unpopular Biden is. North Carolina, I think that Ted Budd is really, really strong with white rural voters. I think he does pretty decent in the suburbs. I think that yes, Cherry Beasley is a strong candidate for the black vote, but given how unpopular Biden is, I think that that strength can only take you so far when a lot of the base is incredibly, incredibly angry. I don't know, or I don't want to say incredibly, incredibly angry. When they feel like they elected somebody and they're not happy with them, when they disapprove of them, I don't know how I don't know how far your strength will take you. And I think that she is strong with the black vote, and she'll probably keep it lean, but it'll probably be a fairly convincing win for the GOP. For the final two states, both tilt states, the Democrats get Georgia, the Republicans get Nevada. So in Nevada, I think that CCM is actually a pretty strong candidate. I think that Biden's ridiculous unpopularity and the red wave will probably put Laxalt over. It's looking like the electorate that's turning out will probably be something or either will be Trump plus 2, or if the election were held today, would be Trump plus 2. Which is obviously not a good thing for Democrats. That's 6% to the right. So honestly, tilt might be a bit generous. Although Nevada people say is titanium and immune to shifts or whatever. I think Biden's unpopularity will probably give Laxalt the win. Georgia, I think that Warnock narrowly hangs on. I think that there's so much unpopularity, from Joe Biden, that there's a lot of white rural turnout generated, even if Herschel Walker isn't an amazing candidate. I think Warnock is, strong with the black vote. Once again, I don't know how far a candidate's strength with their base can get them. I don't know how far Warnock is going to get in Georgia, how far CCM is going to get in Nevada, how far Connor Lamb is going to get in Pennsylvania, how far Cherry Beasley is going to get in North Carolina, how far a lot of these candidates who are normally strong for their base. Lamb is pretty strong for black voters. Beasley is pretty strong for black voters. CCM is pretty strong with Hispanic and Latino voters. Warnock is pretty strong for black voters. I don't know how far your strength with your base is going to get you. Especially when, even Maggie Hassan is, pretty strong with white rural college educated voters. I don't want to say pretty strong. She's not a horrible candidate. I don't think that she would necessarily lose, and obviously Kristen Nunu is really strong. But when you're that, Biden's unpopularity will probably shift it even more to the right when your candidate, and obviously the base depends on the state, the Democratic Party's base will vary depending on the state, obviously. But generally, they're running candidates that would normally be pretty strong with the base. However, if the base views their president as unpopular and they think that they're not going to get anything done, then they probably won't turn out. I don't know that a lot of this base would vote for the GOP, but they probably wouldn't turn out for Democrats. I think that Warnock is narrowly strong enough to hang on, but I think that it would probably be fairly close. Maryland, I think, could flip, depending on whether or not Hogan runs. I don't think that he will run, as of yet. As of what we know, I'm not ready to give this to the GOP. I think there's a very good chance that he runs. I think if he runs, there's a very good chance that he wins. And obviously, if Biden gets even more unpopular to the point where there's so much white rural turnout, and when a candidate's strength with their base just gets to a point where it just is Biden's so unpopular that a candidate's strength with their base is essentially non-existent. No matter how strong they are, they won't turn out their base. I think Georgia could realistically be lean. And we could see 55 seats with the GOP. I don't think Colorado is going to flip. I think that might be a bit of a stretch, but That's probably the best that we'll see the GOP do. I don't think Phil Scott's gonna run. If he does, maybe competitive Vermont. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like below. Stay tuned for my next video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Please comment your suggestions down below, and I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye.